Hi everyone. So I don't know if I'll get this uploaded today. I'm going to try. It's of course Arraignment Day, and I've run Trump's transits as of 2:15 p.m. You know, in Manhattan. That's where he is, Eastern Time. I don't know if it's going to start exactly then, but that's been the schedule, so there's a lot of intention around that time, so I feel it's safe enough. I don't use the normal 10:49 a.m. because I use Alfie Lavoie's rectification chart. He's an astrologer who's been doing it for close to 60 years and has followed all Trump happenings, things that have happened to him, experiences for years and years and years, and even created this really nice software for rectifying charts, which I haven't bought. It's very expensive. But anyway, when I used to be on Facebook, I followed him, and he would always drop in little notes when things happened. So I've been using 10:12 a.m. rather than the 10:49 a.m. Now, for today's purposes, I probably didn't even need to address it. But just in case, you know, you're an astrologer and you use that other time, this is the reason why I don't. But for all intents and purposes, for today, it doesn't change anything except for the ascendant by about 5 degrees. It just means that things would happen sooner with this chart for him, which I have noticed. It works. It definitely works. But again, it won't matter for today because there aren't any major transits that are going to just suddenly hit a hot point here at the four corners. So to move forward and try and save some time, I wanted to look at the fact that he does have, no matter which chart time you would use, he does have Uranus newly, right up here close to his midheaven, which is the point in life where you're, or the part of your life in your chart where you're interacting with the public. So Uranus is going to bring in big changes and probably some shocks and some reversals of fortune, especially with Venus up there. And I don't know if you guys all saw my post when the indictment announcement came down, and I looked at his transits. Venus was right up here. Venus rules women. So here we are with Stormy Daniels and the shock and upset, and that is squaring his ascendant. The Venus is a separating transit, so it's moving away from the ascendant, but it's going to be closer and closer, and who knows, maybe by the time the indictment comes down, it'll probably take a lot longer than that. Venus might be on his ascendant, or it might be over here in his second house of money where there's, quite a loss. Uranus will be staying in his 10th house for the next 7 years because it takes that long to move. So upsets with his career, and with this stellium going on here in his 9th house, the 9th house, it is so much, but I'm going to stick to just a few basics. For the political purposes here and legal purposes, the 9th house is our courts of law. So to have all this Aries energy, pushing, moving energy, Aries is moved by, or ruled by Mars, so we're moving energy here. Jupiter, it can blow things up. We have Eris here, which is the divine feminine. This can be healing for the divine feminine, right? I could certainly imagine that. Chiron in the 9th house, courts of law, and you can see he has Chiron opposing his natal Chiron, that transit. Chiron is our deepest wounding and deepest conflicts, deepest inner conflicts. It's like putting the 5 of Swords right here. And you don't get to access the gifts, the deeper gifts, until you work through the wounding, which he has not. So he's still operating like from this 13-year-old place up here, and maybe the toddler place as well, when his mother was taken to the hospital and was never the same. So anyway, the sun is shining in his life in all legal purposes. And it's blowing up his, or the deeper wounding is coming through because there is an opposition. And opposition is a confrontation that can create a breakthrough if you know how to work the energy, if you're working, from the higher, for what is for your highest good, coming from your higher self. But he's not doing that. So, but anyone his age would have the same aspect going on. So that's why I mention it there. Mercury, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's wondering about it. It's all over the news, right? What is happening for him personally is I think he's going to have a hard time keeping his mouth shut. And I don't know if he'll have a gag order today, but I did get in the reading that he eventually will. I also believe that he will violate it. So we'll see if that, comes through or not. I'll get to the eclipses in a moment. Mars, again, moves energy, right? Cancer on the lower, well, no matter what, Cancer is all about security and home and our emotional security, right? And trying to protect ourselves, but it also rules the past, just like the moon does, right? So the deal with this is Mars moving energy over his Mercury. His mind will be racing. And Mars moves pretty quickly. So this is, this will be moving. It'll be an exact. It's already 3 degrees. Actually less than that. No, a little more. It'll be right there, exactly on that 8-degree Cancer point. So over the next few days, it's going to be really hard for him to keep his mouth shut. Over the next week, I would say even. And with the moon here in his second house of, stability and self-protection, self-preservation, right? It's at this ripe degree of Virgo. So Virgo is all about the details and tracking patterns and just the facts, ma'am, kind of a thing. So here we are with the facts coming through. And it will continue to build there. Now the moon also rules the public. So a lot of private, public information will be released that he's not going to like. And Pluto over here in his 6th house of health, that's not going to be good for him. Saturn moving through, and this will be here the rest of his life, right? This will be him ending his life with his health problems. Now, with Saturn in the 7th, this, I believe, is his victim playing card that he's using to grift off of, right? To pull the wool over people's eyes. The 8th house, of course, would be other people's resources. That is dissolving and drying up. The Saturn in the 7th is placing limitations and comeuppance and karmic retribution within his relationships. So, if these guys these dirty GOP, members want to align with him, they will have hell to pay at some point. So those are just the, what you can see with the naked eye. I have the transits over here because when we have a bi-wheel, I can't see the aspect grid in the center, so I have to use this over here. And I did already speak to that Venus, the planet of the feminine, divine feminine, then Uranus coming in there and shooting, like kicking things up and, squaring his ascendant. And our ascendant, I got in meditation years ago that, or actually it came through a dream time. First thing in the morning, woke up hearing, the ascendant magnetizes. So he has challenges coming to him based on what he's magnetizing, basically his karmic past. Let's see. The eclipses, I wanted to go over that really quickly because I'm probably not going to take any time to do much with him later. Well, I might. I should never. I got to stop saying I won't because I end up doing things that anyway. The total solar eclipse. So solar eclipses are external events where the lunar eclipse is more of an internal effect on the person. Psychological psychological effect, not effect, affect, AFFECT. So with the solar eclipse coming in his ninth house, courts of law, this year for him, because eclipses come in pairs, this entire eclipse season for him, which lasts all the way through, I haven't run the other charts yet, but lasts through October in the United States. I think October and November. So we have this eclipse. Oh, wait, hold on. What's the date? It is April 19th, Pacific, but it'd be about noon p.m. Eastern time. So that's coming up pretty soon, right? And it's going to affect his ninth house, like you were saying, courts of law, and basically, have you told the truth or not? And then when we get to the lunar eclipse, the partial lunar eclipse right here will be at 14 degrees Scorpio, and it's going to exactly conjunct his Chiron, right? So again, the moon, the feminine, this will be a very internal event for him, is going to hit him in his deepest wounding, and it's going to affect his relationships because he has Chiron in Libra. Right? And it will also conjunct his Jupiter. So, there's healing if he would ever want to come into truth, because I often see the ninth house is truth and the third house is possible lies. And we all know that, if he's breathing, he's still lying. So, yeah. Let's see, is there anything else? I don't want this to go too long, but let me look over here. So transiting Neptune is squaring his moon. So Neptune in the 8th house of other people's resources is squaring his natal moon that wants to have his will all the time. Now, please don't take anything in offense if you have, like, let's say you were born the exact day as him. Every single soul has their own spiritual journey, and there's, even if you were twins, born at the exact, well, you couldn't be born at the exact same time, but let's say within a minute apart, you're still going to have a very different life path. You'll get the same transits at the same time, but how you handle them will be very differently. How you respond to the transits will be very unique to you. So, but anyway, back to him. Neptune squaring his moon will create even more, and it has been. You can see we've got 25 degrees here. His moon was at 20, so it's a separating aspect, meaning that he's already had it, but it's moving away. He had his opportunity to work through his confusion and his self-doubt and to come into truth and connect with spirit, connect with source energy. He has not done that at all. So I don't expect him, moving forward. Again, Neptune moves so slowly. It doesn't move as slowly as Pluto, but it'll stay in this house for years. It's about a 14-year transit, but it's halfway through, Yeah. So let's see, what else? Neptune is also squaring his sun because, that's right. So Neptune is T-squaring, is in a T-square up here, but it's moving away from an exact T-square, but it's been there between not only his nodes, because he was born on an eclipse, right? You can see the moon here. So Neptune has been up there. See, this is the beauty of astrology. He was born with Neptune here in his second house of money, which doesn't make a person good at money usually, unless you're on a spiritual path and you earn your living, as someone, maybe in the media, this would be him wanting to be like this movie star kind of a person, and he never was. This is him pulling the wool over people's eyes when it comes to, what was it, Trump University and that $25 million lawsuit that he had to pay out. And his grifting off of the children's cancer fund that he and his children, his adult spawn, I should say, as Lena calls them, or devil spawn, I forget, what does she call it? I don't know. Anyway, they are banned from having, they're not allowed to have, in the state of New York anyway, they're not allowed to have any charitable foundations because they abused that right. So you can see he doesn't quite yet have Neptune opposing Neptune. That comes in much at an elder age, but currently with Neptune, so he was born with it in the second, then the third, fourth. So Neptune is transited through all these houses and allowing him to come at least halfway around. Now, of course, a person wouldn't make it all the way around because, they'd have to live to be 100 and some years old, 160, I forget. Anyway, he's had the opportunity to come clean with his communications, to dissolve his family's wounding, that he chose to incarnate into. He's chose to align his will with the greater good, a greater service. He hasn't chose to. He's had the opportunity to, but he hasn't chosen to do that. And Neptune in the sixth, I would imagine in these years he was probably using drugs at a pretty young age, because Neptune rules drugs. Maybe when Neptune was in here, I'd have to look back, but maybe he started getting into wanting to be, in the movies, things like that. But we can imagine that he's had divorce and other issues in relationship areas with, or relationships with Neptune moving through this relationship area of his chart. And now in the eighth, this could be, the best way to use the energy would be to fully commit to your spiritual path and dissolve any old issues that, need to be faced and processed through. But he's not doing that. So what's going to happen to him, see, when you don't work on your own inner issues, it comes to you in the outer world. You have lots of tower moments and create a lot of crisis. So Neptune moving through his eighth house, he is probably going to have tax issues because it's our house of sex, death, rebirth, tax, other people's resources, death benefits, things like that. He could have, for the years that Neptune is in his eighth house, he could have lots of confrontations with, this would be Mary Trump's lawsuit that could come in, and her other siblings and, the cousins, because he literally stole money from them, from the trust fund. He flipped everything to his advantage, made himself executor. So anyway, enough about that. He has, with Jupiter trining his moon, this is his blowing things up. This is him blathering on and talking as if he, has a lot of power. Well, Jupiter can create loss. And I think he's going to learn what that truly means. Because it's geared towards healing and truth no matter what. So if you have to go through a painful life lesson, then that is what will happen. So let's see. Venus quincunx his moon. He's going to need to make adjustments as to how he thinks about the feminine and his past and women and money. This is perfect. My goodness. Let's see, what else am I drawn to here? I'm not going to go through all of them. Otherwise, we'll be here for an hour. Jupiter square Venus, so it's the same, exact same. So there's a double whammy of these issues with women. How perfect. Venus sextile Venus. Yeah, he does have some support, but that will dry up. That is dissolving. Let's see, what else? Venus square Mars. Yeah, he's going to be fighting with women. With this Saturn sesqui square Jupiter, yeah, he's going to be very stubbornly holding on with his abuse to the judicial system. See, that's the other thing, too, is Jupiter does rule this 9th house. It does rule courts of law. So he has a double whammy of everything going on there. And the nodes right here. The North Node in his 9th house, he was meant to experience this. And the South Node in his 3rd house, it's like digging deeper to reveal all his lies in the past. Mars squaring Eris, that doesn't help when it comes to the divine feminine. The transiting moon opposing Eris, yeah, it's all on public display. And another thing, too, with this moon and the later degrees of Virgo, if humiliation is needed, that would be the sign, that would be one of the ways to have it come through, as well as Pisces. And Neptune in Pisces, I think he is, I think he's putting on a big front, but how he's feeling deep down inside is very different. Let's see. Mars square Neptune, yeah, so the actions and the lies. So transiting Mars up here in the 11th, yeah, I've got all the friends, and he has his goal to grift off everyone, and then squaring Mars, yeah, there's the grift. It's also his deluded, ignorance in action. That's his MO, his entire life. Let's see, what else? The moon is, as it moves forward, this over this day, it's going to exactly conjunct his natal Neptune. So, and then also oppose his Eris. So again, it's like his chart is set up to battle with women. And then, as the moon, it's going to, as the moon moves forward, minute by minute, it is going to begin exposing his delusions in relationship. But we're also going to see the deluded ones standing up for him as well, like, Trader Tot, Marjorie Trader Green, Mars square Neptune, Mars square Earth, yeah, okay. Venus square Mars, yeah. Pluto opposing Venus. Ooh, I missed that. Oh, yeah, look at this. So Pluto here in his 6th it's within that 5-degree, well, no, because it's separating. Let me see. Pluto, yeah, separating, that's right. So he's already had an exact Pluto opposing Venus, which again, powerful transformations with the divine feminine. And the fact that he has Venus, Saturn together, that gives him that ability to make money, but he just does it, for laundering purposes. And Pluto is revealing that and has been. Wow. Yeah. And he might, if he lives long enough, he'll go through, I don't know, that'd be quite a stretch there. But he does have the ultimate health care. His mind will be gone, but if his body holds out, he could have Pluto opposition Pluto, which, a lot of us, this generation, could have. So let's see, because Pluto's not it doesn't orbit in a circular fashion. It's elliptical, so it'll stay in one sign for less time or more time, depending on the way the cosmos is handling things. Neptune square, yeah, we did that. Even squaring his sun. Yeah. right? Because of that T-square. So his little, the core, the literal core of who he is, of course, is to shake things up and use his voice to just make crazy. It didn't have to be that way. If he would have chosen a different life path, he could have been a very powerful speaker. And if he were aligned with the laws of love and truth, he could have moved so much energy to help families and women and people. But instead, he chose the opposite. Remember, this is the guy that got behind the zero tolerance policy at the border with Stephen Miller. This is the guy that didn't care about babies being ripped from their parents. It didn't care about them at all. And also his Hobag wife. Remember her jacket? I don't really care, do you? Man. So, okay, what else? It's so yucky sitting in his energy. I might just move on if I don't see anything much larger, other than that, that Neptune squaring. See, Neptune is such an awesome planet in that it can help you dissolve your karma if you want to get on the right path. But I think that he really needs to go through humiliation. I think that he needs to be isolated, to think about what he's done. He needs to meet his own darkness. And whatever it takes to get a soul to do that is what will usually happen to them, or they check out. If a soul is starting to do enough damage to the spirit will take you out. I mean, your spirit and your soul, I don't believe, are the same thing. So if he starts doing things that will damage his spirit, he'll be gone. Or, he'll cross over. So let's see. The Neptune, Pluto opposition. Pluto's trining his natal Neptune. So there's an opportunity there for him to see from a higher perspective the reality of relationship and create a bridge to the higher realms. But he doesn't operate from that perspective or that intention. I don't see that he has ever set that intention. So instead, Pluto works to bring up the dirt, because Pluto is all about transformation, but then transformation to your empowerment. And it's Plutonic, issues. So for him, this is his abuse. And abuse, this is him abusing his own spirit, and I don't know that he'll, stay on the planet much longer. Major health issues need to hit him upside the head because he's not getting his lessons. But this is the kind of guy I really feel like if he were on the right path and he were working in, with the forces of love, this is the kind of guy that could live to be well over 100, because he has a really strong constitution. So anyway, no, I'm not going to talk about that. Okay, so Chiron opposing Jupiter. Transiting Chiron, opposing natal. Yeah, right. Again, all these opportunities for healing, and he's not taking it. Yeah, so I feel like I think I'm done. Oh, wait, hold on. Jupiter squares Saturn. Transiting Jupiter is squaring his natal Saturn over here. Jupiter and Saturn are the builders of the zodiac, so Jupiter opens things up, and then if all goes well, if you're working in the light, then you can build foundations that last. But he hasn't. He's destroyed himself and his family. So, he's got all this family karma, and especially Some people would look, some astrologers would look at this, and I would too, at Venus and Saturn, look at, oh yeah, it's the way he can make money. But this is also his karma with the feminine. And Jupiter's up here blowing that up in that square, right? Yeah. So, okay, I think that is. If I go, that is it. If I keep going, I'm not going to have time to get this uploaded today, and I really want to get this to you. So, okay, that's it. Take good care, you guys. Hope you're stocked up with popcorn. Okay, bye.